Welcome back to Deaton Street. I'm Dustin, and he's Zach. There's more bad news about the Rabbit R1, and yes, it is still a thing. But before we get into that, if you could, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, let us know what you think of the video. But yeah, Zach, I mean, the Rabbit, the device that was apparently gone after all of the new updates and everything, is still popping up in articles for me. Now there's like some weird stuff that's going on, right?
All right, so we have this article from engadget.com. Headline is Rabbit R1 security issue allegedly leaves sensitive user data accessible to anybody. Again, accessible to anybody. So the team behind Rabtitude, which is a community-formed reverse engineering project for the Rabbit R1, essentially found a backdoor into some API keys, which allowed them to see every response every Rabbit device has ever given, including with your personal information. Let me repeat that. Every response every Rabbit device has ever given, including personal information. It also would allow them to change the voice, brick the phone. It's a ridiculous security issue. Like, it's just absolutely proves what we thought to begin with, which is I would not trust these devices as far as you can throw them.
Well, and then the article said that they did nothing like to combat this at all. Like, Rabbit knows about this and did nothing to fix it. And then they denied it too. Like, they said, "Oh, this didn't happen," but very clearly it happened because people had access to things, all this information.
So obviously, don't buy these devices. We've said that in the past. I think we've had multiple videos where we talked about these things. You can go and look at CoffeeZilla's videos that show that they don't do what they were promised to do. But the thing that surprised me the most about this article is that I instantly jumped off this article. I looked up online, Rabbit R1, went to the website, and you can still buy these. They're still trying to make money off of this thing, even though, one, the iPhone updates that are going to come out later this year are going to do everything that the Rabbit can do and better. Two, MKBHD said not to buy it, which if he says not to buy a product, usually no one does. CoffeeZilla said it's a scam. And then more and more bad things come out about these devices, including that essentially it's just like a Samsung, like a really bad Samsung phone that is just running ChatGPT, and that's the way it works.
People have been already been able to, like, I remember seeing within like the first few weeks of it being like released, people had already hacked it and like, "Oh, you can run Android on it." Like, we don't have to have the Rabbit R, the Rabbit software on the Rabbit R1. We can put Android on there. But then I've also seen people put Rabbit on their phone. Like, all it is just it's a simple thing, a simple application or a simple code. They've been able to run it off their phone. Any of that doesn't even matter because of the amount of like AI stuff that has recently come out. That as soon as they started doing the Copilot stuff, as soon as they started doing like GPT-4o, any of the new Apple things that are coming out later this year, it completely null and voided any of those AI devices, the Humane Pen, the Rabbit R1, anything else. It was like, oh, that's pointless because what we were saying for a while there, well, this just needs to be an app on the phone. Well, now it's an app on your phone, and you don't need the device. It's not an extra device you have to have. So why are these things still available?
Why are they still available, and why were they made in the first place? They were marketed as the next generation of tech, the new phone. It's going to replace this. It's humongous, amazing promises that were made, and none of it has come true. None of it. Not a shred. I would like to see a shred of evidence that this device can do anything that is worth $100, much less, I think, $200 or $300. I think it's like $200 still.
Yeah, something like that.
It's ridiculous. And it kind of goes to show that as new tech comes out with large promises, you should be very skeptical. Very, very skeptical. The larger the promise, the more skeptical you should be. And if you don't just have money to throw away, don't buy new tech devices in new tech fields or,
Yeah.
areas.
What I thought was off-putting about those devices was the the next like few weeks after they were dropped, all of the new AI apps and everything were announced and dropped, and it was like, why? There's no way. There's no way that they didn't have like an inkling of the release dates of some of these things. Like this was going to happen this year.
Yeah, it wasn't hard to see the writing on the wall.
Yeah. So why did you continue? Well, I mean, and I get it. It's a business. You're going to continue developing some product that you believe in or whatever.
Well,
But you had to have known that your stuff was not going to last at all.
well, the thing is, though, it's that not only did they kind of see the writing on the wall for some of these devices, like, and I'm not saying it was obvious, but if you're well
Yeah.
connected, and if you're researching that, it's easy to see that this is maybe where AI would be the most useful. It's
Mhm.
one thing to create a device that jumps ahead of the competition and does all of these things extremely well and kind of cuts everyone off. That's okay. That is completely fine. That's completely fair. But
Yeah.
to promise that these devices have these capabilities that are coming with the iPhone, with Microsoft, that type of deal, and then to release and sell a device that is a plasticky piece of crap without any of the capabilities that you promised, it's scam. It's a complete scam, but it's also,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a money grab, and I'd love to see where all the the money went for this. I think that the guy that is the main person behind the Rabbit R1 is not answering a lot of questions. I know he kind of gave some of the online interviews the runaround
Hmm.
when when are some of these new capabilities coming out.
Well, I know what he probably didn't spend the money on is the lockdown of that API stuff to let all your information get leaked out there if you did happen to have and use the Rabbit R1. They didn't take any precaution of that, nor did they even respond to it after the fact.
It is crazy that they wanted access to your bank account. They wanted access to your Uber. Like, this was marketed
Hmm.
as a device that was going to help you do everything in your life. So in order for a virtual assistant to help you do anything in your life, you're going to have to give it information about yourself so that it can figure out how to best help you. And if you're going to make a device that is supposed to hold a lot of personal information, you should lock it down. And that's one of the things that Apple has a really good
Hmm.
reputation of. And, we both Apple truthers in a way. But if you're creating a new device and you're asking for personal information, you shouldn't have a security vulnerability this large.
You would think we would have seen that too beforehand, because I don't remember ever like bringing that up. Like whenever we started kind of talking about the R1, just us in general,
Mhm.
about it like storing that information locally and not in a cloud-based system kind of thing. We kind of saw that with like the Copilot and like recall stuff, where it was like, oh, we're going to store all this information in a cloud-based system. We're like, wait, hold on a minute. And then Apple came out and said, we're going to store it all locally, fooey on those other guys. And it's, you kind of look back at Rabbit and it's like, oh, you definitely had no intention of.
I think we did mention it. I want to say we did. I want to give us credit for that, but we've also
Yeah.
recorded a ton of videos, and it's been a long time since then.
Yeah, it's been a while. So, uh, it's wild. I still don't understand why Rabbit's still a thing. It is what it is.
I think right now they are selling these devices just to get the money. I don't imagine that there's going to be any growth with this device, and it's going to get better over the course of time. I think that this is just a one-time money
Hmm.
grab scam for those who will fall for it.
It makes you wonder. It's like, okay, how much upside down are they with like production? Are they still selling them to try and make the money back that they,
Mm.
spent on it kind of thing? Which that would probably be the only reason why I see them still selling it.
They look cheap
Uh,
though. They're plasticky, and I think it's just like one big chip within the whole thing. It's even
oh
like a
yeah, no,
touchscreen. Like it's a touchscreen that isn't a touchscreen.
hmm
Like, you can't use it as a touchscreen, but the actual piece is a touchscreen. It's really dumb.
yeah,
We were intrigued when this first came out, but
it seemed cool.
the news just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And guess what? It continues to get worse. If you have one of these, more power to you. Please don't put your bank account information in there because it's not secure.
Let us know if you have one, because I'm interested to see, if you're able to jailbreak it or do whatever you want with it, or if it even lived up to the hype, the very little bit of hype that it had for a short amount of time. Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
See ya.
I'm walking the streets of